All right, hello and welcome to another Expert Insight interview. My name is John Golden from Sales Pop, online sales magazine, and Pipeliner CRM, joining you as usual from a actually a rainy San Diego for change. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Jonathan Mast, who is on the Gulf Coast in Alabama. How you doing, Jonathan?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And Jonathan's been in the trenches for 25 years, watching the digital landscape transform. But 2 years ago, something shifted. And guess what? It was AI, and it became a weapon for entrepreneurs who are serious about scaling their impact. And Jonathan's made it his mission to give business owners the AI prompting strategies that turn complexity into opportunity. You've been on stages across North America, Asia, and Australia. You've been on well over 100 podcasts and webinars. And you're breaking down the AI mystique and showing real entrepreneurs how to weaponize technology for their success. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And your company is called Whitebeard Strategies. And again, I have zero idea where the name came from, but there you go.
I love it. I love it.
Uh, anyway, so we're going to talk about AI and prompting. And I guess, Jonathan, even just to start with, I guess people are still struggling with the concept of prompting because they're still kind of in that mode of traditional web searching, right? I write in like a sentence or a few words or everything, and they don't understand um, what the difference between that and prompting. So, can you just kind of bottom line it for people as we start out? What is the difference between prompting with AI and how you traditionally use search terms?
Great question. I think, the people hear prompting and they're not sure what to do. The main difference is instead of typing in just search terms and thinking of keywords, we're
Mhm.
typing in questions and we're giving it some context. It's much more like working with a coworker than it is like asking Google for a question. And that really is the simplicity of it. I often compare it to texting. I mean, it's like texting. You text your friends, your coworkers, your family. It's what we're doing with AI.
Mhm. And then so how are people when you work with people, how are you helping them with prompting? Because as you say, it's like having a conversation, but you have to kind of get in a different mindset because it's not just often you put in one prompt, it's like you build on your prompts and like you would in an actual
Precisely.
conversation.
Yeah, the what we really try to encourage people when you start playing with AI, the next thing that seems to happen is you start getting emails and social media messages from people that want to sell you their lists of prompts. I've
Mhm.
got 100 sales prompts, or I've got 5,000. I literally got an offer the other day for 10,000 prompts. And I'm
Wow.
like, you've got to be kidding. I don't have time to look through 10,000 prompts. I don't care how well organized it is. So
Mhm.
what we try to do is we try to teach people a framework. And it's really no different than learning how to communicate with a coworker. When we were 18 and got that first job, we didn't necessarily always know how to communicate effectively. And generally along the way, at least for me, somebody pulled me aside and said, "Hey, Jonathan, let me give you a couple tips." And we
Mhm.
do the same thing when it comes to AI. And what we try to teach is a very simple 4-part system that will allow you to ask AI virtually any question and get an amazing response.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? Because if you think about it, those conversations that you had, you didn't just ask your coworker, like, especially if they were more experienced than you, right? Because you needed some information. You didn't just say one thing to them. They gave you an answer, and then you went, "Okay, I've got everything I need." You asked follow-up questions because it took you time to get to where you're going, or get to the information that you really want. And it's on the other side, right? It's You can't expect AI isn't a genius that can figure out what's going on in your head. You actually have to articulate it.
Correct. Yeah.
Mm.
It doesn't read your mind. And it's
Yeah.
important. It's so easy. We're talking to technology and we think, well, it must understand what I'm saying because I understand what I'm saying, but it doesn't. And the other thing that I find so important here that makes a difference is that people assume that if it doesn't have enough information, it'll know what to do. Well, and it does, but that means it's going to assume because the
Mhm.
developers have taught it to not ask questions. And the reason is
Right.
really simple. If every time we didn't give it enough information, which would be most of the times that we ask it
Mhm.
questions, it'd sound like a 3-year-old and start going, why, why? And we'd stop using the applications because it'd
Yeah.
annoy us.
Yeah.
So instead, they have them fill in the gaps and makes assumptions. And we know what happens when you assume. You sound like the south end of a northbound mule, and we don't want to do that. So we need to tell AI basically not to assume and to ask me clarifying questions, because literally that simple phrase added to the end of almost any prompt, ask me
Yeah.
clarifying questions, will cause the AI to go, oh, I can ask Jonathan a few more questions because he didn't give me what I needed. Big surprise. And then you're going to get a great response. It's like talking to that more senior worker when
Mhm.
you're young and you go in and you say, hey, I need to work on this project. And they go, okay, hang on a minute, Jonathan, do you know what this is? Well, no.
Mhm.
What about this? Well, I don't know. Go
Mm.
find those answers and come back, and then I can help you. That
Yeah.
happened to me so many times in my career. And essentially, we're giving AI the permission to do that. The difference is it happens just like that. And it gives us then amazing responses because it knows the variables that it needs in order to give you a great response.
Yeah, that's such a great. I mean, that's such a great tip and such a great concept there for people to kind of reorient their thinking. And by the way, I love that. What was that phrase? The south end of a north-facing
The
mule. What was
south
it?
end of a northbound mule.
The south end of a northbound mule. I love it. I have to remember that. Talk me through your four-step process.
Love to. It's really simple. So the first one, imagine if you would that AI has been trained on every book in every library and you've walked into that library
Mhm.
and of course you don't know where to go. So we need to tell AI it's fast, but we need to tell it where to go. If I want marketing stuff, I want you to go to the marketing section of the library. So I'm going to
Mhm.
start by saying you're an expert marketing consultant. And let's say I want to write a social media post. The next thing I'm going to then do is say, I'm a chiropractor in San Diego, California, and I'm looking to find individuals who are in sports and who are athletic that have back pain. So I've now given it context. I've told it,
Mm.
you're a marketing consultant. I am a chiropractor and I want sports minded people. That was my context. Then I'm going to give it my prompt. And this is where most people just, the only thing they do is go, give me a social media post. Nope.
Right.
I can say that. And then I end it with that most important part, ask me clarifying questions. So
Mm.
now that whole prompt reads, you're a marketing expert. I'm a chiropractor in San Diego and I want to work with athletes who have back pain. Help me write an engaging social media post and ask me any clarifying questions.
Yeah.
That whole prompt now will yield an amazing result as opposed to what we normally start with, which is, I'm a chiropractor, give me a social media post.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's really fascinating. The first two parts of that, as you said, about the context, because you started with who you're saying to AI, this is who I need you to be right now, right? I need you to be
Exactly.
I need you to be a marketing expert, right? A digital marketing expert. And then you're saying, okay, this is who you are. Now this is who I am. and
Exactly.
and now you've got now you've established a context. You're an expert in your field, but and they're an expert in their field, and you're going to give them some information, and then they're going to give you something back, but you're going to be very specific about it. So it's context and specifics, and then, like you said, then giving it the permission to ask you questions.
Yes. Yeah, and it's really that simple. When you do that and you give it the answers it asks for, you'll get amazing, on target, relevant responses to whatever you want.
Mhm. Yeah, so I mean that's really fascinating because, like you said, I mean most people are still at that stage of just asking kind of random questions, and then thinking, if I put the same random question into five or six, seven different AI tools, I'm somehow going to get different answers.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's so many opportunities, whether it's sales or marketing or anything else. I mean, I wish I'd had these tools when I was in sales as a younger man,
sure.
because the ability to understand my prospect, the ability to, for example, I'm holding here in my hand, it's a little voice recorder that's an AI, it's linked to AI.
Oh
Really,
yeah.
it just connects via the cloud. But imagine being in a sales meeting and being able to record that conversation, nothing nefarious, and then
Mhm.
afterwards upload that to ChatGPT and say, all right, based on what you know about me, Jonathan, and the products and services that I sell and the company that I work for, analyze this conversation and help me determine the best way to approach selling them.
Mm.
An AI who's been trained on every sales book in every library with everyone, whether it's Sandler or any other system that's out there, is now going to be able to go and say, "Oh, you told me, Jonathan, you like consultative sales,
Yeah.
and based upon that and the fact that you sell this service, my analyzation of the transcript, here's the products I think you should offer, the services, and oh, by the way, here are the pain points that he inferred that you can go back and discuss and match up to your product in order to have a better chance of selling." We had to think about all that stuff in the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
now it
And
can just help us.
yeah, and now the nice thing about all of this is, and this is what I say to salespeople all the time. The nice thing about all of this is that you can now go and do what you do best. You can build on that. You can ask the questions, of your prospect.
Exactly.
You can do it in an intelligent, engaging fashion. You can work on the relationship part.
Exactly. And let's face it, that's what most good salespeople do.
Yeah.
And most good salespeople also are excellent at asking questions. And now, if you've got the opportunity to figure out what to do with the answers and help you do that in a faster manner, I really think by the end of this year, we're going to be at a spot where a salesperson could literally have that happening in real time and giving
Mhm.
them tips in their ear about you do this or do that. I mean, I really do believe we're getting to that point. And that then, like you said, it allows the salesperson to operate in what I call their circle of genius. In other words,
Yeah.
they no longer have to become great at managing the CRM because AI
Mhm.
can pull that data and do that for them.
Yep.
They no longer have to be great at filling out order paperwork because AI can grab the information and do that. They can be the relationship experts and the solution experts that they are.
Yeah, no, I like that, the zone of genius, because I do think what I've been saying to people recently, when people saying, "Well, what about it's going to impact jobs and everything?" And I said, to be honest, it's going to impact the mediocre, and
Yes.
because AI is going to be able to do that better. But if you really focus on the things that you do best as a top salesperson, you do best in the relationship and as you said, the solutions and figuring out things that AI can't do right now, you'll do great. But if you stick with doing the if you're not going to put yourself into that zone of genius, then yeah, you're in trouble.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, AI amplifies skill and talent. At least that's my belief. And
Yeah,
therefore, if you have skill and you have talent and you have experience, it's going to amplify that. It's probably the first time a technology has come out that if you're 40, it's more beneficial than if you're 20 because
yeah.
you have more skill and experience in order for that AI to amplify.
That's a fantastic point. I didn't actually think of that before, but that's a really, really good point. Yeah, because you have all of this experience and now you have AI to help you. If you're younger, you've AI to help you, but you don't have the experience. So that's
Yeah.
that's an excellent point, and I think one that should be comforting to people who are maybe a little more senior in their careers, who are thinking that they're on the way out. Actually, you may be on the way in.
I think it really allows them to be much better. I mean, I'm 55 and I know that my brain isn't always as quick as it used to be. And I can only imagine where I'm going to be 10 years down the road. But if I have all that experience and now I have a tool that helps me connect some dots super fast, I can now use those relationship skills and the analytical skills and the consultative skills I have to sell even more.
Mhm. So, not naming names, but with some of your customers, can you give some examples of when when you've gone and helped them, how they've applied this, and what difference it's made to their business?
A lot of the times in 2024, which we're just obviously ending as we're
Yeah,
recording this coming into 25 now, one of the big difference has been we're typically looking for easy, quick wins right now because
yeah.
there's so many of them available. Common ones are, for example, scheduling, where we worked with one of our clients and they happen to be in the sports arena and they schedule conferences and challenges where they literally have hundreds of teams that they're bringing together over a weekend to schedule, and it
Mm,
was an absolute nightmare to do venues and people and this and that. Well, AI now can take all of that data together and it can analyze it. We've got to give it the variables, and then it can actually create in minutes a schedule that works for everybody because it's all computer stuff at that point. Another area that's been hugely helpful we've seen is just in customer service, giving the ability to whether you use an AI bot or whether you're having an individual, really doesn't matter, but giving them the information so that your customer service team, instead of flipping through this big manual and trying to figure it out or searching the company intranet and not finding
mhm,
what they want, to be able to just ask a question like the client asked the question or your customer asked and get a response back literally in 1 or 2 seconds that gives them, here's our company policy, here's a link to the document, here's how we want to handle this. Oh, by the way, am I authorized to do something special because they had a bad experience? Here's what you're authorized to do. And have all of that essentially immediately available is just been an absolute game changer. And I know that's something that AI uses all the time, but it's a word and phrase I use. It really
mhm.
has changed the name of the game because it's allowed us to add more value to our customers. And let's face it, when we can do that in any business, that
Sure.
means we're likely to create stickier, better customers.
Yeah, because let's face it, I mean, and particularly because we live in this kind of instant culture and stuff, the more you can have that information to hand and you're able to give intelligent responses, or you're better prepared, the more likely you're going to have is good experience with your prospects and customers. Because let's face it, the most frustrating thing is always in the past where we've got to go, oh yeah, that's a great question, Jonathan. I'm going to have to come back to you on that one. Let me come back to you with that later. Oh, and then you ask another, and I'm like, oh yeah, again, I'm going to have to come back to you on that. That's kind of unsatisfactory, understandable in the past, but now we don't have to be like that.
Exactly. And that's what's so exciting. We can have that information available. And again, it allows us to provide a better experience for our customer and make that easier for them to buy from us, because it just makes that whole experience less friction.
Yeah, and that's the great thing too, is like, yeah, removing friction. Because one of the biggest complaints, I ran companies a few years ago, and when I took over the company, one of the biggest complaint when I went around to see customers, one of the biggest complaints was they said, "We love what you do, but you're hard to do business with." And I couldn't wrap my head
Exactly.
around that at the beginning. So I had to go back and make all of these changes in order to make ourselves more friendly, if you like. But now, if you take that real customer centric approach with AI, you can make it such a wonderful experience.
Oh, 100%. And the great thing is we can personalize it to
Mhm.
every single client. So no longer are the days of this is our policy for everybody. Now we can have those roadblocks or those guardrails in place, and we can define solutions that make the most sense for that client based upon what we're able to do as a company. And almost that gives us that owner's capability, that founder who is the brilliant founder who can always find a solution because they understand all the pieces.
Yeah.
Now AI can help us do that, and that means even your junior sales rep who's been on the job for 6 months can help put those solutions together, and again, amaze your clients in the process.
So in that case, I mean, that's a good point as well. Is your time to productivity goes down dramatically. When you hire a new person, or when you promote someone or whatever, is the time to productivity is cut right down because they have these tools to rely on.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. So where do you see this? Where do you see this going as we're in the beginning of 2025? What do you think? Where do you think all of this is going?
Well, I think in 2025, we are going to see even more monumental changes than we saw last year in 2024. There's so much money flowing into AI now. All the investors want to hear that whatever they're betting their money on is
Mhm.
ahead. So we're going to have literally daily, if not, or weekly, if not daily, announcements on new things. And I think the thing that's important to remember for everybody out there is focus on the basics, use things that allow you to win today, and don't worry about every new thing that comes out. Because especially for those of us with ADD like myself, and I know there's a few other salespeople like that, it's important that we don't get distracted by every bright shiny object. Because in the end, most of us are working so that we can have a better life, and AI can actually give us literally hours a day back if we use it properly, and we don't have to use every latest tool to do that. So I think we're just going to continue to see the opportunity for AI to, again, to amplify that skill and experience. And if anything, it's going to separate those, I don't want to say lazy, but the those
Mhm.
less skilled salespeople and individuals from the more skilled, because the more skilled are going to have that opportunity to leverage the same tools in a better way. But it's like 1 times 10 or 10 times 10.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you said, I mean, starting off with the basics, because, getting back to what we started talking about at the beginning of this is, I mean, I would guarantee you that there's like probably 90% of people still not writing prompts properly, or writing effective prompts.
Absolutely.
And even learning how, even taking your four-step process right now is, or working with you, you're going to see huge gains doing what most people go, oh yeah, yeah, I know how to write prompts, and go, no, you don't.
Yeah, precisely.
Fantastic. Well, listen, this has been fantastic. All of Jonathan's information, it would be below this video. But before we go, please do tell people a little bit more about you and your company, Whitebeard.
Well, we provide AI coaching and consulting solutions to really help businesses and their teams do three things: save time, make more money, and provide more value to their clients. If you want to learn any more, you can just reach out to me at jonathanmast.com/linktree.
Excellent. Yeah. And like I said, who doesn't want those three things, huh?
I hope so, yeah. And the neat thing is we can do them all at the same time. Never before in my career have we been able to make more money and provide more value to the client while saving time.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, listen, thanks again, Jonathan. Thank you for watching, listening, and I will see you all again very soon. Thank you.